Cross live to the India Today Conclave for another session.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm not the sort of journalist you normally associate beautiful Bollywood actresses with. The devil in me usually frightens them far away. But I've promised Katrina that my horns have been tucked inside and I'm going to be on my best behavior. She says to me, she's only seen me with grizzled old politicians, hard-nosed industrialists, and eccentric academics. And the extent to which today's encounter is unusual was actually brought home to me this morning when a colleague said to me in the office, "So hey Karan, who are you interviewing today?" And with an evident glint in my eye, I said, "Katrina Kaif." "Oh sure," said Arvind, "and I'm off to meet Ranbir Kapoor." Arvind didn't just think I was lying, he actually thought I was off my head. So Arvind, if you're watching television, here I am getting ready to play a dirty old man. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is Katrina Kaif. Please give her a big round of applause. Katrina, I want to start... we need mics. Sorry, my apologies. Katrina, I want to start by quoting something you said to Tehelka. I'm drawn to older men, men who have lived life, men who have some experience. Does that mean I stand a chance?
Firstly, I'm in shock that I ever said that. Okay, well, things change. Yes, you, though, definitely stand a chance for sure. So last night when they informed me that I would be having this session with Karan, I did a little research of my own, because I wanted to know who I was talking to. And I came up with the information that he's been to Cambridge and to Oxford, at which point I called up Kaveri, and I said, "Kaveri, I'm not coming tomorrow." This is someone who has achieved more than me, so maybe I should be interviewing you, but...
We're going to go back to the beginning of the Katrina Kaif story, because actually this interview is about you, not about me. You have, I believe, 7 siblings, 6 sisters and a brother, poor guy, a British mum, a Kashmiri father, but it's your mum, Suzanne, that you're closest to. She brought all of you up. Is she special?
Yes, my mom is an incredibly special woman. I'm glad you started there with that. She's a lady who's devoted her life to NGO work, to non-profit organizations, doing charitable work around the world. And one of those selfless angels who you look at and you think, "Mom, that's great, you're my mother, but I could never be like you." You know, just completely selfless. I was actually thinking the other day, imagine having 9 children. Imagine the worry you must go through every day, because you care about all your children, you love all your children. Imagine the worry that you must go through. So I do feel very bad for her from time to time. You know, one day she'll be flying off to see someone who's in a crisis. The next day I'll call her from Bombay crying on the phone, "Come here, Mom." So she has a life cut out for her. My brother, on the other hand, is an unfortunate soul, you're right. He's part of a WhatsApp group. So, you know, on WhatsApp now we have groups where everyone can see the conversations. And he's part of a WhatsApp group called Sisters. So he said one day, I don't think this is fair, it's starting to affect my masculinity, I'm part of a WhatsApp group called Sisters, and I said, I'm sorry, we just can't change it for one person. It's not going to happen.
So is he bullied by all of you?
You know what happened, actually? In the earlier years, I used to find him quite tough and, a little, like you would imagine a man, faced with so many girls all the time. He was a little brusque and a little tough. And what I've seen in the last few years is I've seen this incredibly gentle person evolve who will be like, say if you're complaining about your boyfriend, it's like, he just doesn't take me, he doesn't value me, he just takes me for granted. And, I'm just fed up of being, not acknowledged enough. And he'll be like, that's right, that's just terrible. He's on the women's side now, and I think he's going to make a wonderful partner to somebody.
So jumping ahead of my story, when you quarrel with Ranbir, do you complain to your brother, and does your brother give you good advice?
Sorry, just say the question again.
When you quarrel with Ranbir, do you complain to your brother, and does he give you good advice?
When I quarrel, sorry. See, that's where the Oxford and Cambridge accent comes in. When I quarrel with anyone, he tends to give good advice, yes, he does.
What sort? What does he say?
Well, he's actually learned the most clever thing to do, which is when you're hearing a woman out and she's upset or rather distressed about something, the best thing to do is to always agree with her. So it's usually inevitably, yes, Katrina, you're absolutely right. Don't stand for it. Don't put up with it for a moment. Absolutely, he's in the wrong. So that's
going back
how
to
it
your
goes.
childhood, I gather you grew up and lived in some 13 different countries. It's an incredible list. I'm going to read it out for everyone. Hong Kong, Japan, China, Ukraine, Romania, France, Hawaii, America, Poland, Belgium, Austria, South Africa, and England.
Not South Africa.
Not South Africa?
But everything else is right.
So it's 12, not 13.
There may be some you've missed, but we'll have to sit and keep tally after.
Was this a great education, or was it a little unsettling and confusing?
I think it was a mixture of both. If I have to generalize, I would say it was a great life education. It may not have been the kind of education that, for example, when we talk about you, that yourself would have had, which is, bookish education and amazing knowledge, but it's life education, it's experience. And he's laughing, which means I've sounded like I've given him an insult. I haven't.
You're so...
I'm in awe of him.
You're so good at the digs. You're brilliant. I'm going to pick up a trick or two from you.
Oh, no.
The next time I interview someone, I'm going to say in the parentheses in between, I know all about you, but I'm not going to reveal the secrets in public. You're brilliant. Where did you pick up these tricks?
Actually, it's quite unintentional. I usually don't realize when I do it.
It comes instinctively.
Yes, I'm one of those kind of people who say something and then realized, I shouldn't have said that after you've already said it. So you quickly backtrack, which I'm good at doing. But yes, I tend to say the wrong thing.
So going back to these incredible 13 countries where you grew up, you said once to someone, you can throw me into any society and I will immediately adapt. Is that, in a sense, one of the things you've learned living in 13 different cultures, 13 different countries?
Yes, for sure. I think that is something I do remember saying, and that's something I do believe. I guess every personality, or different personalities, would probably have taken the same life experience in different ways. Maybe some people, it would unsettle them or cause them to be, very insecure. But I think for me, I was very flexible. I was very happy. I just remember, throughout my childhood years, being very fascinated with everything, observing everything, seeing people, just seeing the general, little generic speaking, but seeing the general mood of people, when they were just walking down the street. And I think that's one thing, which is why when I finally did come here to India, it was literally probably 48 hours before I felt that finally, after being to all these countries, I felt that I had come home. And this was home for me. I just think it was the people. There's a warmth. There's a warmth and there's a openness of the people here, especially in Mumbai and where I was. And I just instantly felt at home there.
But coming to India couldn't have been easy. You'd never been in this country before. Mm-hmm. And you came to be an actress. And you did it straight out of the blue. Was it difficult in the very beginning when you landed up in Bombay?
Well, I didn't come here to be an actress. I actually came to do modeling. I had a few kind of sights set on a few things. There were a few big campaigns, which at the time were kind of like the, the ultimate for a model to get. And I was kind of, I had my eyes set on those things. I was doing a lot of ramp shows, as we spoke about before. I've traveled to probably every place that almost there is in India with fashion shows. You do shows in so many different places. And as a model, I think I was very fortunate. I achieved probably what I wanted to do there quite quickly. And in the industry, there was kind of a point where you come to and you feel you've done everything in that industry. There wasn't too much left more for me to do in the modeling industry. And acting and modeling and in our industry kind of are quite closely knit industries. And it just kind of, as the offers came, I kind of took it up as a challenge more than anything.
In fact, this is the point at which the Katrina Kaif story becomes truly incredible. Bollywood legend has it that when you made your first film, Boom, you were barely 17. You were new to this country, and it said that you didn't know a word of Hindi. Is that true? Not a word of Hindi?
Yes, that's true. That's exactly correct and entirely true. I didn't know a word of Hindi. I wasn't really able to focus on where the camera was either. I didn't really know. I remember Amitji was in the film, and he would kind of be like, Katrina, you have to turn this way because the camera's in front of you. I was like, oh, okay, sorry. And I had no experience at all. I didn't even know the A to B of filmmaking. I didn't know what process of being on a film set was. As you said, I didn't know the language. I remember it was actually Jackie Shroff who gave me such an important piece of advice when he was talking to me, and he was just generally finding out what I wanted to do after the film. And he said, you must learn to read Devanagari, you must learn to read Hindi, because especially at that time. Now we're very fortunate. Now we get these beautiful bound scripts and dialogues. You know exactly what you're going to do before you go onto the set. But now we're talking about around 10, 11 years ago. A lot of the films that were made, the dialogues were written just before the shot. They would kind of be, the gist of the scene, but exactly what I was going to have to say to you was given to you sometimes 15, 20 minutes before the shot. And you needed to be able to pick that up fast, and you needed to have a good memory. And you never want to be in a position where the writer's handed you a piece of paper, and perhaps he's written it in Devanagari script, and you can't read it. So I took his advice. I took that seriously, and first thing I learned to do was to read, which I think has helped me.
And do you now read Devanagari fluently?
Yes, obviously not as fluently as another person, but all my scripts come to me in Devanagari because it just helps me to understand better the pronunciations, and it's...
But what was it that made Kaizad Gustad choose you? What was it that he saw? What do you think happened that made him say that this girl, who has never been in India before, who doesn't speak Hindi, who's just 17, is for me?
Two things. One was, Boom was in English, so Hindi wasn't required. It wasn't a Hindi language film, it was in English. And the other thing is true. The reason I came into the film was because Meghna Reddy, who you remember was a very popular model at the time, she stepped out of the film. So they were left last minute needing to cast somebody. So I was kind of a desperate last minute cast in the film.
Are you about to say this whole career happened because of an accident?
Well, it's not an accident, but it happened last minute, yes.
Good luck.
Yes, it was good luck, yes, you could say that.
Aisha Shroff, who was the producer of Boom, says that at the time, Katrina Kaif wasn't your name. You had a very different name. You going to share it with us?
No, that's not entirely a true story. Also not a story I'd like to go into in too much detail. I had a few disagreements towards the release of the film with the people, but as I've learned now in life, I think it's important to not dwell on negative anything, to not dwell on the past, not dwell on disagreements people can have. And I think they were a big part of the beginning of my journey, and I wish them all well.
But do you want to tell us what the name was before it was Kaif, or is that something?
She's referring to my mother's name, which is Turcot.
Turcot. Yes. And how did you choose Kaif?
No, Kaif is my father's name.
So you just switched from being Katrina Turcot to being Katrina Kaif, well, both in a sense for your name.
It made more sense because my father is Indian and my mother's British. My mother's from Bath. So since I'm working in a country where I am, I guess, my Indian heritage is more important, I think it just made more sense. Besides the fact that they are divorced, so it's fine.
Now, Boom wasn't the greatest of successes, even though it had Amitabh Bachchan, it had Jackie Shroff. Was that a bit of a setback for you at the time?
Definitely. I mean, it wasn't the start that anyone would dream of, and it wasn't the start that anyone would want to have. When you come into the film industry, you want to come in with that amazing Hindi film. Boom was an English film. You want to come in with an amazing film. You want to come in and be immediately taken as a heroine, immediately taken as somebody who's competent and capable. And I had a very small role in the film. It was a small bit part. But this was my journey. The rest of it, I think after that, I had to work very hard, step by step, taking small little steps to kind of learn, to get people's attention, to get the industry to accept me, to get the industry to notice me, and for people to eventually start appreciating my work. So that step or that journey was very gradual.
Your career, in a sense, took off when you started to act opposite Salman. You did a series of films with him, probably each of which were hits. What do you think clicked between the two of you?
Well, it wasn't just Salman. Actually, my first Hindi film was a film called Sarkar, which was with Abhishek Bachchan, and Ram Gopal Varma was the director. After that, then Maine Pyar Kyun Kiya released, and then a film with Akshay Kumar released at that time. So actually, the most films I did kind of quickly back to back with any actor was with Akshay Kumar. That was kind of a series of 4 films we did: Namaste London, Sing is King, Welcome, De Danadan, Humko Divana. So these films kind of happened very quickly in succession. There were other films in between, like New York.
But it's the Salman films that everyone remembers. Maybe you don't.
Akshay Kumar would not like that comment, for sure.
Would Katrina Kaif like that comment? Do you remember the Salman films with fun?
Oh, they were great fun. They were amazing fun. But if you ask me honestly, what was the film that I think I first got, what would you say, a little bit of recognition for? It was actually a film called Namaste London with Akshay Kumar, which was directed by Vipul Shah.
You're very good at evading questions, aren't you?
No, I'll come back to that. I have lots to say on that topic. I'll come back to that. But I just wanted to...
be nice to Akshay.
Not be nice, be fair. Because that really was a film which... at that point, there weren't too many people who were willing to work with me. As you know, a lot of times, when names are cast around, you have to get everyone's, approval.
So there's a debt of gratitude to him.
I definitely have gratitude to Akshay Kumar, for sure, because there was a lot of people working with me, and more than that, he was very patient, and he was gave me some very, very good advice.
I hope he's listening to you. You got that off your chest.
Oh, I've told him many times.
Come now to Salman.
Now let's go to
Salman.
Salman.
What was it about Salman that clicked? You can see they're all waiting eagerly for you to answer that question.
I don't quite understand the question, I have to be honest.
I'll repeat it for you. And I'll repeat it in a different way. Was he just a friend, or was he something more?
I thought he went to Cambridge and Oxford and we were going to have an intellectual discussion. There are many definitions, and we always want to give definitions and labels to the kind of relationships we share with people. And at this moment, I'm feeling very conscious that Shobha Day is sitting in front of me. I don't like to, as I'm sure you must have read in the research you've done, I don't like to really share publicly or give labels to the relationships that I have with the people in my life. I think suffice to say that Salman has been an extremely, extremely important part of my life, in not only my process in films, but also just him, his family, his parents, sisters. Still today are very, very good friends of mine, and amazing people. Some people, I think, amongst the people I have the most respect for that I've ever met. And he's just an amazing person. I don't know if you've ever interacted with him, but he's really unique. He's one of a kind, and you don't meet many people like Salman in the world, so someone you will remember.
Does he remain someone special still?
Definitely. He always will. He will always remain a very, very, very important part of my life. And without him, I think the journey or the process of my journey could have been far more difficult. So, yes, for sure.
And do you think the mystique and mysteria of Salman was what helped with those movies that you did? The fact that the two of you caught the public imagination?
No, because I think Salman was already a huge star, so I wouldn't like to attribute that to me and to him. He was already, by the time we had done Maine Pyar Kyun Kiya and Partner both, he was already Salman Khan. So it was just, for him, they were just two other films, and I just happened to be the actress in the films.
Now, there are probably hundreds of women in the audience, not just in this room, but watching you on television, who drool at the very thought of Salman Khan. What advice would you give them about him?
Or what is their intention of looking at him and drooling? What would they like to achieve? Then I could probably direct the advice a little bit
I think
better.
they'd like to get closer for a start.
I can't give advice for someone how to attract somebody else's attention, but as a person, I can say that if you ever come across his path, or if he comes across your path, don't be afraid to go and talk to him or to strike up a conversation with him, because he truly is a people's person, and he interacts with people on such a genuine level, and I think that's a great quality about him. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, just because you may not be a well-known person or, you know, somebody of particular consequence to him, he'll still take out that time and talk to that person or to that fan, or to somebody who comes up to him and approaches him. He really engages people in a genuine way.
Now, the man in your life at the moment is Ranbir Kapoor.
Karan is insistent.
Right? And not so long ago, you said to the Times of India of Ranbir, he's incredibly charming and polite with everyone he comes in contact with. I get tired after saying good morning to just 3 people. Are the two of you very different? Is this a case of polar opposites attracting each other?
Well, since we're speaking about all my co-stars, as a co-star, I will comment on his personality, because yes, we've done 2 films together, Rajniti and Ajab. We don't only 2? Yes, I think only 2. And he's I don't think he needs my my opinion, but he's, according to me, an amazingly, supremely talented actor. I think he's going to leave behind an amazing body of work, which is going to be phenomenal. And as his talent and as a person acting in front of him, you really can recognize when somebody is naturally gifted, and it just comes instinctively to them. And that's definitely the case with Ranbir. And yes, in regards to the good morning to everybody on the set, I will start with the first 3 people. You know, hi, good morning, good morning, good morning. And then there's 65 other people, and then I just kind of, look down and walk the way. It's exhausting. I find it tiring, and it's 7 in the morning. But Ranbir will address almost each and everybody along that path and wish them, all the light boys, the dress dadas, everybody. And I think that's really nice.
Did I hear you correctly? Did you call him Ranbir?
Do I?
Did you just call him Ranbir?
I always do.
Ranbir?
Yeah.
Not Ranbir?
No, that's the way it just sounds. It's the way it sounds.
You prefer Ranbir?
I don't know. I'm used to saying it that way.
I'm going to ask you an unfair question. Of the 2, who's the more naturally talented, gifted actor?
So, yesterday, when I said that Karan has been to Oxford and Cambridge and Kaveri, I don't want to come, I should have definitely not come. Let me think of an appropriate response to that question.
You're going to be diplomatic rather than truthful.
See, there are many times when people say, "Why are you also diplomatic? Why don't why don't you just say exactly the first thing that comes to your head?" I always believe there's a certain quality, there's something to be said for being kind to people and not hurting people's feelings. And there was a show, Coffee with Karan, which was, I think, on last year or earlier this year, I'm not too sure. And there were many questions being asked where, the people on the show were asked to judge, in a rate of 1 to 10, and they would give, say, a name of 4 or 5 actresses. And a lot of the people who I know and who I work with, a lot of people had put me in different categories where I would not have wanted to be. And I felt really hurt. I did. I felt hurt. So I said, I don't want to do that, because I don't like it when it's done to me. And I don't think, honestly, I'm anyone to be commenting on who's the better actor between Salman and Ranbir. They're very different. They're very, very different. Their approaches are very different. Their techniques are very different. I'm sure you know. Some people believe in method acting, believe in spontaneity. Some people just believe in putting as much as yourself as you can into every character. Some people believe in creating the whole character from scratch. So they're very different people that I would not compare.
That's a brilliant answer. Katrina, you sure you aren't planning to be a politician one day? I've never heard a politician sit in front of me and so skillfully evade a question and yet so convincingly give it. Katrina Kaif, MP?
I'll not put it down to skill, I'll put it down to practice. Because there are questions I've been asked before.
You mean you've had a lot of attempts at trying to evade difficult questions before?
Oh, I've had a lot, yes.
Okay, I'm going to come now to a bit of Bollywood gupshup. Rumor has
we were just doing that.
Rumor has it that Ranbir's mother, Neetu, isn't very fond of you.
Oh, no,
is rumor
he is not an easy one. Kaveri, come here. Oh, Koyal's here. I'm going to bring Koyal next to me. Koyal on the couch, she's another tough one. Koyal can get there and she can get you in that spot. But now, what were you saying?
Rumor has it that Ranbir's mum, Neetu, doesn't like you.
One second. I'm too stumped. Hold on just a second. You know, the reason and the person responsible for these rumors, as you're saying, quite honestly, if there has to be somebody responsible, would be me. And I'll take the full blame for that. And you may ask why. The reason is because since the last 8, 9 years or whatever, I have chosen, and I've said many times, that I have chosen not to comment on my personal life. Whoever it may be, or whoever it's about, the people or the man in my life, I've chosen not to, because I just feel it's an easier way for me to be. There's no hard and fast reason why. I'm a sensitive person. I have a hard enough time accepting the truths and realities sometimes that hit us all in the matters of love, than having to share that with the public as well. It's just something I've chosen to do. So thus, because I have kept everything so closely guarded, you can say, as much as possible, you are leaving that much more room for everyone and for journalists and for the public to speculate and to make speculations like this. If you particularly asking me about my relationship with Ranbir's mother, as a woman and as an actress who I've interacted with, I'll answer in that category. She's a beautiful, stunning lady, phenomenal grace, and just somebody who I have great admiration for, somebody who started her career, I don't know if you know as well, but a very, very, very young age, and worked, amazingly successfully in her career, and then chose to get married to, a man who she greatly loved. And I think that she's a fantastic person. In fact, everyone I've met from his family have been such lovely, fascinating people. Not only Neetu-ji, but also his father, Rishi-ji, is somebody who I worked with in Namaste London, and somebody who we hit it off so well in the film. He was such a darling person. He would take me out for dinners in the evening, and he would, guide me in the scene.
With or without his son?
Namaste London, I didn't even know Ranbir was around, so no. It was just me and him. This was a long time ago. It was about 8 years ago.
There's a story that I've read, and I'm going to ask you if it's true.
I don't want to hear any more of the stories you're reading. You're reading some wrong stories.
No, this is a story that's been in probably every Bollywood magazine. Apparently there was a group photograph once taken. Ranbir, his mother, his sister, and you. And both Ranbir's sister and Ranbir's mother...
I already have the answer to the question.
Do you? Let me finish the question so the audience hear it, and then you can answer it. And both his sister and his mother put up pictures on the net. Ranbir's sister did it with you part of the group. Apparently, Ranbir's mother airbrushed you out of the picture.
Well, airbrushing is something that I definitely need in my pictures, as we all do. But, having said that, I'm not on Instagram or Twitter, so I can't say I know really about what you're talking about in that case. Sorry.
So this is not the question you anticipated. The one that you thought I was asking was probably different, because you said
no, it was that one only. But I'm not on Twitter yet or on Instagram. It's something I have been toying with the idea very seriously, but I'm not on it as of yet. So I don't follow anyone.
But there's a bit of good news there for people who are on Twitter and Instagram and WhatsApp. You're toying with the idea of joining them.
I debate I debate it with myself and with people, and there's pros and cons to it, and not yet decided, but it's definitely, it's a very interesting platform.
Now, the boys and the men out there have asked me to ask a particular question of you. They say, now that she's so close to Ranbir, what sort of relationship does she have with Deepika Padukone?
This is a rather interesting equation which everybody has created. See, all jokes aside, I'm not going to speak on my personal life. As much as I love you and as much as I respect you, I'm not going to speak on my personal life or my equation with the people in my life. But in regards to Deepika, as you're speaking about, I also read from time to time things and articles which come in the paper. And to be quite frank, without going into too much unnecessary detail, they're very untrue. You know, I think an article came recently that, you know, someone had made a thing that we were both staying in the same hotel or something. That's okay. I mean, we're all co-stars, and there's absolutely no animosity between me or anybody. I can honestly say in the film industry. I mean, touch wood, till now, there's really no animosity I have towards anyone. I may like some people better than others, as we all do, but there isn't any animosity I hold towards anyone.
How do you as a human being cope with the fact that everything you do, and many of the things that people make up on your behalf which you've never done, make it to the front pages? And therefore people are left with this impression about you, which may not be anywhere near the truth, but that's how they see and judge you.
There are three parts to that answer. One is that the pros and the positives of being in the position I am as an actress or as a public figure, the success that I've achieved, the support I get from the audience and from the industry and from the media, to be very fair, has been outstanding, and they've played a major part in the audience being aware of me and in my success and in my journey so far. So I think this is a very, very small price to pay. I don't think anyone's intentionally painting me or making me out to be a terrible person. They're just articles which come, like the two you've just mentioned right now, which come from time to time, which don't sound very nice, and which, you know, they may pinch you a little bit that, oh, is that really what people are thinking? But the most part is they come and they go, to be very honest, and we have achieved, in this, what we do, sorry, it's just a small distraction, there's so many other things that we as actors honestly live such privileged lives that I think it would be a little bit petty to complain about a few newspaper articles that come in which you don't really like.
How do you view I suppose it's invasion of privacy that celebrities and stars constantly have to face? Do you say to yourself, this is an inevitable part of the profession, because without this I won't be a star? Or do you say to yourself, hang on, there's a red line here, I may be famous, I may be in the public eye, but you have no right to cross it whenever you want?
No, I think that it's part and parcel of the job. I think as long as you can, however much you look back, and whoever you see and whoever you watch, whoever's been a successful actor, whether it's in our industry, whether it's in Hollywood, wherever you want to look, media, controversy, fame, acting is something which all goes hand in hand. You just need to deal with it in your own way. You need to decide, which is why, as I've said to you, there are certain decisions you make along the way to make the process a little more comfortable for yourself, which is why I don't speak about my personal life. I will not comment or give confirmation or denials on every rumor like this. So when a story is going to come in the paper, oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes journalists will send you a message saying, we heard XYZ, or, you know, we heard you got into a fight with Coyle yesterday. You know, and is this true or not? Now, most people know me that I don't answer yes or no. It doesn't mean it's not true. It doesn't mean it's true. It just means that if you're going to dedicate so much time out of your day to this, A, you're going to get disturbed, and you're going to get upset, and you're going to get emotional, and it doesn't achieve anything. You'd be better off putting that focus in your work and just working hard on the films you have.
Now, you said a couple of very intriguing things. You said a couple of very intriguing things in an interview to Vogue magazine in December, just about 3 months ago. When asked, if you weren't an actress, what would you want to be? You said, Lord Protector of England.
Now let me just clarify this. So there are some times on a film set where you're waiting long hours and you're sitting in the middle of nowhere and you get very bored. And unfortunately, this was one of those times where I was sitting in a jungle in Thailand. I was very bored. I was been waiting for my shot for a long time, and I got the questions. And I kind of answered all of them in jest. So when you read that, they may not be the most correct insights into my personality, even though some of them are true. But I just always thought the Lord Protector of England. You do know that it was
Oliver Cromwell.
Yes. So this is an official title, Lord Protector of England. Doesn't that sound amazing? It just sounds so good. So there's obviously a joke.
He was a very upright, moral man who thought he was superior to Parliament. Do you have any of that in you too?
Do I think I'm superior to Parliament?
Are you upright and moral?
Am I upright and moral? I have a certain set. I think everyone has their own definitions of right and wrong. But I would say my definitions of what's right and wrong are pretty standard. I wouldn't say they're very out of the box or innovative. I kind of live with a philosophy which is very simple and very basic, that, kind of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you're going to go around being mean to people and being nasty, you should expect that back. And, life is short. You just be happy, live every day, and be nice to people and do your work.
Now, there was another question that Vogue magazine asked you. They said, what's the one food item that repulses you? And you said, achar.
Okay. I have another confession to make, which was that I did not answer all of those questions. I answered them in conjunction with my co-star on the film, who was helping me with those questions.
So this was a co-star answer?
Yes, that was not my answer.
It's not that you're a peanut butter and jelly kind of girl?
Truthfully? No, I kind of am.
Peanut butter...
How did you know that was my favorite food? You read that somewhere, right?
I did indeed.
Yes, I love peanut butter. I can sit with a jar and eat it all day long. I could eat it for breakfast and for lunch and for dinner. I don't. No, I don't. I don't. Not all the time, but yes, it is.
Now, there's a wonderful former judge of the Supreme Court, a crusty, grizzled, but lovable man called Markandeya Katju, who said that Katrina Kaif should be the next president of India, but on condition she sings Sheila Ki Jawani at her inaugural.
Well, I like this gentleman, and if the country does choose for me, he said I should be there?
You should sing Sheila Ki Jawani.
What did he say I should be?
President of India.
Oh, he said the President of India. I'd read somewhere Chief Justice. Okay, that'll do. That's fine. If the country decides, wishes me to be the president, and the requirement is for me to sing Sheila Ki Jawani, I will definitely rise up to the task immediately, yes.